welcome everyone to this very special episode of Slay the Stars, where we are doing a sort of post-mortem on Arc 1, meaning anything is fair game from episode 1 to 63. We're going to talk about tons of stuff. We have a bunch of questions from our listeners. Looks like there's about 20 of them. And in addition to that, we are at the end going to talk a little bit about where we are going in Arc 2. What can we expect to see? What do we want? What do we want for these people? And the first thing I want to do, though, is I want to take this moment to talk about the three of us here and what this campaign so far, this first huge arc, what it has meant to us, what it has done for us as far as D&D players, and just kind of get into the feels a little bit.
I don't have feelings.
Oh, mm-hmm.
I'm a stone cold killer.
Yeah. Yep.
No, doing this whole project, has definitely affected my confidence. I definitely have more confidence.
Okay, good. I'm just for the better, right?
Yeah. I mean, you guys know from the first recording session when I heard my own voice and I was like, God damn, that's good.
Oh my God. Yeah. Someone fell in love with herself.
Even more.
I really did. So that's been fun. I'm not going to name names, but in a Discord recently, someone called my character Mommy and I died. It was the best thing ever. It felt so powerful. So thank you for that, person. You know who you are, and I heart you. I don't know, just a lot of things that I just, how do I say this? I never really consider myself being great at this game or contributing as much as others or whatever, but through this whole process, I'm finding my stride. It feels good.
Love it.
I mean, for me, this is footsteps.
I want to remove the footsteps sound, so you just sound like a crazed person from an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Here's the thing, though. Sometimes they don't pop up on the fucking recording, and it's just me going, I'll wait. And then nothing.
Happening. It just sounds like you're really being sassy with us. I'll wait. Go ahead, do what you're gonna do. I'll wait.
But no,
little known secret, Arthur is always sassy with us.
Even more so now. I think it would probably be, it wouldn't diminish the fact that this game has probably changed my life, just being able to do this and getting to see these lovely people so often. I mean, they are my best friends. So it is very, very good and really good for my mental health to see them as often as I get to now, because we forcefully put each other in the basement once a month.
True. It's true.
Both emotionally and physically.
I didn't think about that. We do go to the emotional basement pretty frequently.
Can we change this metaphor, please? Different metaphor.
So Jen's on a horny joke kick right now.
Right now makes it sound like I'm not perpetually 12 years of age.
I was trying. Anyway.
I own it. It's fine.
But yeah, I think that I've...
I'm sorry, I almost threw my whole dice
We're
tray.
very professional. This is going well.
I think that I've grown both as a D&D player and more experience as a DM watching Leah, because she is fantastic. And then Jen, you always fucking keep me on my toes, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate how little you show how frustrated you are with me.
Love you.
I know, one of the things for me that has meant so much is, when we talked about podcasting many times before we actually podcasted, and there was definitely a level of me feeling a little like I was dragging Arthur and Jen into this kicking and screaming, because they are not as extroverted as I am, and they were much more hesitant to put themselves out here in this way.
He is technically an introvert too, so like that.
Technically,
says-
yes.
Technically.
Technically. And so, and that sort of plays out. You can see how unsure we were of ourselves in the beginning because we had a whole disclaimer that we put on the first 30 episodes of this show.
Be nice to us.
Be nice to us. We were so scared that people would have something negative to say, or that, we get any sort of pushback, or we'd mess up and people would heckle us. We were very concerned about this. And then I think I don't know how many episodes it was in, we just removed the disclaimer because I think all three of us got to this point where we were like, no, this is okay. And this community is awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody is wonderful. And yeah, if we mess up, who cares? We'll correct it or we won't, and we'll move on and we'll learn, and it's fine. And I think that was a huge turning point for all of us on this project, and getting to see that and see how much we've changed, getting to work with other people, putting ourselves out there and going on other shows like Game Master Monday. And,
That was really cool.
Yeah, I think that all three of us have really just sort of stepped into our own as hey, we can do this, and we can have fun doing this, and we can do it in a way that's entertaining for other people, which is not something I think we thought going into this. We were sort of we're doing this for ourselves and it's totally fine.
And we still are.
And we still are. We still are.
Yeah.
But knowing that we can connect with other people is something that we dreamed that we could do, but we didn't know it would actually happen.
And then we kind of the self actualization was when we all went to Gen Con. And it was just oh, no, we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we met so many other podcasters and so many other people who knew us and what we were doing, and we knew about them and what they were doing. And, getting to talk to people and having them say yeah, your story touched me and I love listening and stuff that is powerful on a whole other level.
Yeah, that's still so crazy to me. I feel like I'm still holding that piece of it at arm's length because I'm cool. I immediately recognize it, but at the same time, I'm I can't believe something that came out of our brains is doing that. Wild.
Yeah. So I've loved it, and this whole thing has meant a lot to me. And I just want to echo what Arthur said, you two are my favorite people. So getting to do this,
absolutely.
and with the two of you, I don't think this would have worked with anybody else.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, very thankful for both of you.
And a bit more on the less humble side, we have proved that you don't have to have 4 players to run a D&D campaign.
You don't need 4 friends.
Oh, shit.
You only need 2.
Can we have a hard cut here?
Let's get into some of the questions. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
But need is one thing. But again, let's reiterate. This has opened us up to so many cool people.
It has.
So we started just the 3 of us, and yeah, that's all you need. But we've met and connected with so many people.
Let me say, my life is quite. Sorry, for those in the know. You'll know.
You'll know.
Those
my
who
life
don't,
is very different.
Fuck up.
For those who don't, get to know us a little better.
Join
Buy
us
us a
on our
drink.
Patreon.
Maybe we'll tell you.
Buy us a drink on Patreon. Maybe we'll tell you some stories.
Support our addiction to coffee.
Coffee. Yes.
Which is literally called the Coffee Fund because reasons. And I'm the only one here that doesn't drink.
Tequila.
Da-da. I don't think we have copyright for that.
And now we're going to get to the question.
What the fuck are we doing with our lives?
This is what we're doing.
We really full end of the spectrum there.
Our
It's a circle.
first question. What are your we're jumping right into the deep end because this is a big question.
All right.
Long or heavy?
It's not heavy. It's just this could lead to a very long discussion. What are your biggest regrets for the path or plotline or story beat that was missed in Arc 1?
Wraith.
Missed. Really?
No, sorry. Reg.
Okay. I was going to say,
Reg.
I thought you've gotten through that one.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I'm good with Brave. It's Reg. Reg makes me sad. Reg makes me real sad.
Yeah, sorry, I just had a really weird realization that's funny for no reason, even though Reg's really sad. This whole inciting incident was a chaos monkey using a fucking crowbar.
You mean you?
Yeah. Like, the one time I'm acting like you, used a fucking crowbar, figured out where the orb was. Like, that's the inciting incident. Dumbass with a crowbar. That should be the new name. Sorry.
I'm dancing with a bard on the inside of this tavern,
Mm-hmm.
throwing myself into tables while you just use a crowbar to upend our entire lives. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, but I, it's not that I regret it. I mean, I do, but I don't, because, again, just like with Ristos, it was so well told.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that moment was so, like, choosing and everything else. Like, it was brutal, but I played a little too much there, I feel like. It was one of those moments where it was, like, we all know that Zem's been pretty free about that sort of thing this whole time. And then he was too. That was his character. But then there was a connection that started with Charles a little bit. And she didn't ease up. She didn't back off. She didn't do anything. And then he was gone. Boom. There was no fixing any of that. Could not go back. And that hurts.
Yeah. So Reg was such an interesting character for me to play because he was one of the NPCs. So sometimes, like when you're DMing a game and you're running NPCs, there are some NPCs that are just characters to you, and then there are some characters that you actually really connect with, and some for different reasons. Like I connect with Karina because she is my way to harass Arthur in games, and it's just fun. But with Reg was a way for me to insert this like flirty, fun, but also sort of like wise in a way character into this game who's just there to sort of like poke at Zem and Shar in these blind spots, these like willfully ignorant blind spots that they have about themselves. And having him ripped out of the game at that moment, just as that stuff was happening, just as stuff with Shar was sort of like evolving with him, it was brutal.
Yep, absolutely. And I know that outside of gameplay, you and I have had many conversations about where Zamira is at. And it was really before her connection with Reg, like, solidified. And her connection with Rafe. I'm going to do this whole time. Yes. I don't know why this twisted in my brain, but now it's stuck all day. Before her connection with Rafe solidified, he was always sending Reg. So, like, while the catalyst for the savior was Rafe, Reg was the one doing the saving. So, I told you I couldn't figure out, like, which way this was headed for her, because he clearly didn't give a shit, like, had no preferences, and therefore was open to whatever. Again, things that we had hinted and joked around about, but I don't remember what it was that was like, nope, it's for sure Rafe. It's for sure Rafe.
It's a good thing one of them died. Let's be real.
Too many R's, apparently.
I know the feeling.
So, yeah. Then the choice was made, and it wasn't just like a choice outside of the game. It was like the way that they interacted with each other. It was just really clear which one was the one that she was going with, but it still hurt.
Well, there was also this level of like, so that party where you finally saw Rafe again in person was the same moment where, so Reg escorted the two of you to the party, right? And then Zamira met up with Rafe, and it was Reg's way of saying like, okay, this is done now, right? He was sort of like saying, and Zamira in a way was saying like, okay, like, this, whatever connection we had is over. This is what I'm interested in. And Reg in that moment was like, this is fine because there's something over here that I'm more interested in. Even on just like a connection level. And he had his dance with Shar. So at the same time when this connection with Zamira is closing, this connection with Shar is just sort of starting.
Well, yeah, because it was no consolation prize. I don't think that he was ever fully there the way that
it wasn't the same.
Yeah, Zem was more the one going like, oh. But he really wasn't. I mean, okay, so he's a flirt in
He's a
general.
flirt.
So he was fine to engage, but it had no meaning.
Zem was more open and willing to flirt back, right?
Mhm.
Whereas Char was very like closed off. And so it like that initial connection was much easier for him with Zamira, because Zamira was like, this is fine as long as it's just like
Yeah.
goofy stuff, which Reg called you out on.
Yeah.
And said like, as soon as there's an actual connection, you just like shut it down. Versus when things started unfolding with Char, I think there was more of like a soul connection there, right? Like they were feeling each other out, and Reg was understanding Char in this way that I don't think Char was even really ready for.
No, he definitely wasn't. And I think that the fight with Dalius was kind of a weird like preamble to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was when, ironically, when we got hit with a fireball, that was where things started to become inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you want to say
I
that?
like that.
No,
that's
No,
hot.
that's good.
Okay. But I think...
Keep going.
Say more. No. I think that... I think we've said this before, too, is unfortunately, like, Reg had to die, and I feel bad about it. I really do. But because of that, Char does blame whatever the hell his name is, the other wizard from Annabelle. Istin. Char does blame Istin for Reg's death. I don't know if that's going to come up again, but that's how he feels about the situation in general.
Yeah.
I hope he gets flayed alive.
We'll see. I don't know when, but we'll see. Arthur, are there any plot lines that you want to single out as like a biggest regret?
I'm so mad we didn't pursue the crazy man in the streets. Because both of us are just like, we don't have time.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad because I feel like that could have given us some kind of heads up on something.
I would really like to go back and explore that entire city at some point, because there was so it was one of the richer cities in my opinion, like culturally rich, like lots of stuff going on. Yeah. I just felt like we could have spent time there if it weren't for the people constantly chasing us.
Yeah, the stuff that happened in Ocean Guard, there was a lot of interesting things there. And I think that because there was a lot of me like planting little things and saying like, here's an interesting thread, are we going to pull this one? Here's an interesting thread, are we going to pull this one? So yeah, I agree. Ocean Guard was a lot of fun.
I hope to see Cloud again someday. She was super cool.
Hated that look.
No, we're not going to learn more about Cloud per se, but in the little special 2-shot that's going to be coming out, or maybe already came out, I think that will be coming out before this, so you already know about that.
But we don't.
Yeah, because we haven't edited it yet.
You haven't heard it yet. But let's just say that you're going to get an interesting little look at Icarus, and where Cloud is from. So maybe we will see more of Cloud eventually. I don't know. But I agree. And honestly, now that we can kind of pull the curtain back on that, that happened so early on. And if you had pulled that thread and spoken to that man and things had gone sort of where I thought they would if you had talked to him, your relationship with Adria and Adria's role in this story would have been very different from where they ended up. Because where I had her in my brain was very different than whenever you started engaging with her more.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, like, yes, I regret certain things that happened, but I don't think that any of the events felt unnatural or unable to be able to tell stories. Like, I would not change a goddamn thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
I just wish I had more spoons.
Yeah.
More spell slots.
I mean, you guys have both honed in now on two of the moments where, you know, I wouldn't call them regrets because, again, like you said, I wouldn't change anything that happened. But the man in the street, that was one that I had, like, a lot of stuff sort of, like, planned out for that didn't come to fruition.
You literally threw it at us in the middle of, like, God damn it. Like,
I
we need
know.
to get to this one place.
I know. And then... I think, honestly, those are it. That's it. The only other one is the one that we've talked about a million times, is Adhara capturing you, which would have just taken us back to another question that comes up on this list later. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. What would you say is your favorite moment of Arc 1 and your least favorite moment of Arc 1? My favorite moment is Xander in the window, Char chasing, and then the fights that ensue after that. That is my favorite moment. My least favorite moment is Reg dying. Done. Easy choices for me.
My least favorite moment, I think, might be when Dahlia dies. Not for the obvious reasons, but because I feel like Zamir did not react appropriately in that moment. And by appropriately, I mean I don't think I did that moment or Zamira any justice.
Well, I thought you were fine and great because it didn't feel like Zem got any closure from it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like you were very voided
Yeah.
from the event. So I
Yeah.
felt you acted appropriately. I think the next when Act 2, what are we calling
Arc
this?
2.
Arc 2 pops up. I think that you're going to have that like, oh yeah, there's no closure, and what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's clear how contentious that relationship had literally always been. And there really wasn't a lot of love lost, but still, I don't know. It's my least favorite because it's stuck with me ever since we had that recording session where I've just been like, ugh, like I wish I could have done that better. Favorite, it's hard to say. Like there's so many good. I feel like murder is my favorite.
That
Like,
checks out.
so there's two that stick out, which it's gonna be Adhara because that was fucking dope.
The first one, the biggest one.
And yep, and then the tree because fucking lit the roots up. So cool.
I'm a golden god.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, but I feel like I should be choosing like these big emotional moments or whatever, but as a player, it was badass. It was fun.
Sometimes it's the coolest ones.
Okay, so tying for least favorite and most favorite at the same time, both least and both most and least was the sleep spell that went off that killed all the animals in the tree.
Reefing day.
Yeah.
Reefing day.
So
good.
that is my favorite moment because of just like I did not, and I should have understood the complexity of that spell, and I was just being a dumbass that day. And then least favorite because of course he killed fucking animals, all of them.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
Fighting the pigeons.
Just it's a consistent through line on this campaign.
Yeah.
Also, I lied. My favorite moment was the dream that Char had where the animals are coming back to life and going, Char, why?
That was my favorite thing to edit.
That's so
To throw
fun.
an octave like three pitches higher and like add a shaker.
Hilarious.
And then also tied for least favorite was the death of Horatio, of course.
Oh, Horatio.
You know what? Actually, meeting Kai and going to her cabin. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
That was...
Her house in a tree.
Yeah, that was really, really fun.
That was one of those moments that was sort of shocking to me, right? It's like I expected... 'cause we've talked about this, we won't go into it in the past, but I had set this up so that you would be a little hesitant and scared of her at first because of our test fight in the beginning. But not only were you amazing players and didn't metagame that and just walked full into it knowing that I might have put a hag in there, but you embraced her and she embraced the two of you so much, and there was this like sweet motherly connection that happened, and I got to see the two of you and the two characters relax for the first time ever, because those first episodes were just wild, and seeing how much those characters needed it. It was so good.
Oh, I've really traumatized these people.
I've really traumatized these people. Oh, okay, I guess she's not a hag. Cross that reveal.
I actually just wrote this when we were recording the last thing. Like, we were talking about the Ristos's orb. And I was like, I really want to figure out a way to, like, have that be handed down to me. Like, how do I finagle this? But I wrote the orb for Zem would look like Kai's cottage. So whatever it looks like now, I would, like, figure out a way to have it look like that cottage, obviously before it was burned down, but, like, because that is the closest to an actual home, like a dream that Zem has ever had, is that. Yeah. And it's, it's changed since. I mean, she's met Rafe. And, well, I just mean the right word. But that too. So, like, it changes a little. So it will probably be a little bit like a certain cottage from a certain other genre, fandom, whatever, that, like, is all wonky because they just kept adding rooms to it. It'll be like that.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say, like, Baba Yaga hut and it would have chicken feet and stuff, and I was like, I'm in.
I mean, I would do that too.
I want them to have this.
There is that one room.
The chicken feet room. It just goes in circles.
What's that room? Don't worry about it.
All right. Favorite NPC from this arc?
This is difficult because I gotta say, it cannot be one. There is a hard tie for me between Kai and Mila.
Oh, Mila.
Mila's pretty dope.
Mila's so good!
Listen, she gave me tools that I needed to develop my character. Like,
Mila's my favorite, and you'll find out why when I finally give you the recordings to listen to. Mila's my favorite.
The two bounty hunters that were after us.
Lauren Rush.
They were good.
They're so good.
Just because I think if there was any regret, it might be that they could have been more involved in the story.
100%. I really truly feel, and maybe I'm just crazy because they're gone and there's no possibility, but I feel like we could have been friends, like really good friends.
That's how that entire dinner scene felt.
Yeah, where it was like, yes, we're here to do a job, but, like, until we actually have to, like, bring you in and hand you over, like, whatever, let's fuck around and find out,
Yep. Oh, that was actually, going back to the question about the story beats that were missed. I wouldn't say it was missed because, Reg came in and was able to save the day and do everything like that. But there was a chance, you met them on the street, right? And they said, okay, fine, meet us at the bar. We'll have a drinking contest. But if you had engaged with them, there was very little chance that the two of you were going to be able to overpower them.
We understood that.
Yeah. And
because we just got thrown off a boat.
And so, again, this was another chance to have you right at the gates of Morbale. You're about to, but, oh, nope, you were captured and you were turned around the opposite way, right? And that was one of the reasons that I was like, okay, and these bounty hunters, they're not going to be just like whatever jerks who are like, slapping you guys around and dragging you by, whatever manacles down the road. Like, these are just going to be people who are like, we're doing a job. You're worth a lot of money. This doesn't have to be contentious. Let's just talk. And it would have been a really interesting story arc to see what happened. But smartly, you bought yourself enough time. And the rest is history. But, the stories that could have been. And they're dead. All of them. All dead.
That's why it's called a postmortem.
It's true. Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about this with Ocean Guard earlier, but what's your favorite locale that we've visited, that we've experienced during this time?
I think the obvious one is the cabin, the tree hut.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
Kai's?
Yeah, Kai's. Just because your character loved it, mine was terrified because you didn't spot shit and I spotted everything. And I'm like, oh God.
Didn't we trade places?
No, you're yelling at me. I'm like under the bed. It's just skulls. You're like, trade me.
Oh, right. I wanted to trade places.
But Char was just stuck. I do have, and it's because I partially helped create it, I do have a proclivity for the garden. Like
The
just
garden's a lot of fun.
just there's so much more there that we could have gotten into and seen. I love that.
It's true.
Although Annenfell was fucking dope. That was like being dropped into like a sci-fi movie in the middle of a fantasy campaign.
Yeah.
I know, and this is why I'm struggling. It's probably Annenfell for me because it was so different from everywhere else we had been. I like there were cool, unique things about everywhere we went. Of course, no, it's Annenfell. It's Annenfell's my favorite.
Annenfell was pretty fun. I think...
Although more pale.
I was going to say, so one of my favorite moments was when you all were in Morbale and you decided to go where they're doing the excavation into the old palace, and you see this treasury room that was walled up, that the dwarves hid from the Empire when the Empire was taking over, like 200 years prior to the game. And you get that taste of it. So I would classify most of Vela as like it's not really that medieval Lord of the Rings fantasy setting, right? It's just like it's
a rebuild.
It's sort of like what comes after that, right? But like that moment, going into that treasury, seeing the treasure chests and the weird, crazy golems and stuff, that is your first taste of like what that fantasy setting could have been. And then Annenfell going there directly after is this taste of like what's coming, this like future, right? And I love that we've had these chances to experience like all of that stuff so far. But that moment just felt homey, right? It felt like a very D&D moment, right? Yeah. Going into an old dwarven keep and seeing their old dwarven centurions. I'm going Skyrim now. But I don't know. It was a fun moment.
Yeah, it really was.
Okay. Who do you want to see reappear in Arc 2? Who do you feel like we have not seen enough from, and whose story is the most interesting to you?
Pause while I go through. What was his name? The keeper of the Queen's Rest? The Queen's...
Was it Greg or George or...
Jeff. It's Jeff.
It was a good.
Yeah, Jeff. I don't know. There was just something about him where he was like, I mean, yeah, it's corrupt. And where I was like, but he also was like really protective because he came slamming in when he thought I was getting like beaten by this one. Yeah. And then as it turns out, it was the other way around.
The other way around.
Help.
Oh, that dream with the stuff coming out of his mouth, and I thought it was a good time. I love Jeff. Maybe Jeff and Amy have finally gotten together.
Maybe.
They better.
I hope so. We need a little bright spot in this world. I would love to see Jeff again.
And then you keep just beating the shit out of us.
I'm trying to think, like, so I would follow that thread. Aaron. It's Aaron. He's the final answer.
I want to see him again, but I'm scared what would happen if he pops up again. So I'm going to put that one as a very powerful alt 2. Because kids don't survive, man.
I mean, this one does.
He better.
Jenn is threatening me with her eyes right now. This one does. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to watch Arthur's reaction whenever I say this.
Oh, me too. Okay.
Because there is a character who's been mentioned multiple times who we've never seen.
Yeah.
Who has been doing something behind the scenes, and we have not caught up with them yet, and that is Gideon.
Yeah.
I want you to know what he's been up to, but it's never been the right time. And I'm curious to know if anybody's figured it out yet. There have been a couple little sprinklings in there.
I have theories, but the problem is most of my theories get overturned almost immediately because it's been other people that have been solving the issues. And they're like, oh, it's you. And then there was the Orc army that came through, and I'm like, that felt very Gideon. Like, yes, Jenn may have been the inciting incident there, but I don't know.
I promise that pretty early on in the beginning of Arc 2, we are going to find out what Gideon has been up to.
Yeah, and I think that would be the obvious answer is, yeah, of course I wanted to have Gideon. He's one of my favorite backstory characters. Like, even with Xander on the table, like, yes, Gideon is my favorite.
Yeah.
By far. I think we did have a write-up of a scene between him and Char before, and I don't know if we posted that.
We did not, and we should.
Yeah.
We absolutely should post that. I totally forgot that existed. I like the last time we actually saw Gideon in the flesh in this show was when Char went to the forge, saw Gideon was getting shaken down for information, dove through, kind of waved. Gideon's like, "You son of a bitch, brought these guys to my place," and then stole his horse and cart and left.
Came back, stole his precious jewels, left a little love note.
I do intend to pay him back.
I think it's so and the thing is like, and people don't know this because they don't know Gideon, but very much like he is that guy who's going to be like, son of a bitch, Char, but like also he'd do anything for Char, so like it's whatever.
And I think that's one of those things that it's unfortunate, like that bit of meta knowledge to me was just like, he'll be fine.
Yeah. It's just hilarious. So Gideon.
Yeah, Gideon and oh, god damn it. You dropped a hint of one of the garden members potentially not being aligned with them that was in Stellium. Lavenza, yeah. So I think that I would like to have Lavenza more involved in the story. Even if it's just for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
Final answer.
Lavenza. That's a good one.
My boy in Annenfell. How's he doing? I want to know.
Which, Erevan? We need to figure out what's going on with Annenfell right now. That'll be something else.
Did he replenish his supply since I took it and ran?
You stole his whole bag. Probably.
So we can steal more.
I want to hear about how different the story would have been for Arc 1 if Char had touched or stolen the orb in episode 2.
That was episode 2?
I don't think it was episode 2. It might have been episode 2. I don't know. They said episode 2. And they probably know better than I do. No, it couldn't have been because
halfway.
It was like episode 4 or 5 that happened, I would think. Whatever, we're splitting hairs. It doesn't matter. It was very early on. How different would it have been? I mean, if Char had actually gotten the orb and gotten away with it, got away from Aradel and the person who was with her.
Oh, you know what? That's who I want to show up again, is Aradel.
Rhys's sister?
Yeah, the estranged sister. Yeah, because that death hurt.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was...
Forgot?
That was mean. Oh, okay, let me address
yes, it was,
that for
and you
a
know
moment. That was mean. When I decided that Rhys was dead, and that Alias had killed her, and I knew that was going to happen, and I knew that prior to the episode going in, that Alias was going to kill Rhys to make a point, to set herself up as being like a serious enemy. In that moment where Char asked Alias for help and asked her to go get Rhys, I was like, oh shit. It's set up so well, but this is gonna hurt so bad. This is gonna hurt so bad. It was mean, but again, it felt right. That felt like the right death.
Being a bitch felt so good.
It felt so good and so wrong. But if Char had stolen that orb and they had the orb already, instead of all of this stuff that happened, this would have been an internal struggle between the two of them, probably taking turns touching this orb, talking to this freaking god that they know nothing about. This god's like, release me. And like, people are chasing them down now because they have the orb, and it would have been a very interesting and strange story. And I don't know where it would have gone.
Counter argument. Zem would have absolutely released whatever was in there. And the story is very different.
It probably would have been like, let's see what happens.
Yes.
Who knows? What
that's
could
exactly what would have happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And honestly, it didn't happen. When Char went out to investigate the crate, it never I had never thought about it going that far. Right? So if he had actually stolen the orb somehow, yes, the story would have gone in a whole different direction, but I have no idea because I had no plans for that. I don't know. Because, yeah, Nex probably would have been released, and that would have bumped up the
Our
timeline.
enemies would have been allies, and our allies would have been enemies, technically.
I don't even know if it would have been that. I think you would have had no allies, all enemies. The chaos that has been sort of taking over this hub would have just gone through the roof. And because I'm just going to point out something that we haven't really addressed in the show, but when Nex was imprisoned in that orb, the rest of the divine creatures signed a treaty saying that they would not interfere with these other planes for 2,000 years. Nex was not part of that deal because Nex was imprisoned. So Nex, if he was released, would have free reign to do whatever he wanted. It would have maybe gone poorly.
Really?
Mm-hmm. This makes me want to put that bubble inside another bubble. Smash it with a hammer!
So yeah, it's probably a good thing that there's been a general consensus not to open this thing. At least for now. We'll see what happens. What would have happened if Karina, Zem, and Shar had been captured in episode 1? There was a whole sequence in which they were going to be taken to the docks and put into a warehouse where they were going to be questioned. And there was going to be, I don't want to say torture. That's not the right.
No, it's the right word. Don't lie.
It's sort of the right word. They would have been pressured to reveal who they were. The
Tortured.
reveal of the fact that Shar and Zem were ASMR would have come out then, not 40 episodes later or whenever it happened. And then if they hadn't gotten away, they were going to get put on a boat and taken somewhere.
Tortured.
That I won't mention. No. The torture was just to get them to reveal what they were. Then the torture would have stopped. So
I disagree.
So, yeah.
You're adorable. She would have pissed somebody off.
That's true. Zem probably would have ended up with like a gag and, fully just like just chains and.
Sounds hot.
Yeah, she would have liked it.
But yeah, there was a whole thing. That was actually the outcome that I thought was most likely. So I had that whole path really played out. And I mean, again, a whole different story. A whole different story would have unfolded from that point. Which character death emotionally hurt the most? We've talked about that pretty much. Horatio. So many human NPCs, or I don't know, they're not all humans.
What just happened?
Well, I was like humans, but like they're not all humans. And then I was like, whatever, humanoid NPCs, and you go with Horatio. It's fine.
He's always going to be at the top of the tragedy list.
Reg, but also Dale. That was rough.
The artist formerly known as Dale or Del. Wait, which one was which?
I don't remember which came first.
It was Dale first, and then it was Del.
Okay.
Yeah.
But aside from Horatio, Reg and Reese, probably in that order.
Yeah, those ones were pretty emotional.
I never connected to Reese. Me. So
I know.
I was sad to see Karina go, because she's just fun, and I know that she irritated Shar, and that was the whole point. Like, she was set up to be very irritating and inflammatory to him. But they even had a couple moments toward the end between Shar and Karina where it was very much Shar. I think Shar had like a certain gratitude for her because she was able to be there for his parents.
I think that like if the story had continued, they probably would have gotten along better. It would have taken a little bit longer, but
and even longer to admit it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch this character who was, I mean, sort of a bully to...
What do you mean, sort of? She was a bully.
She wasn't... Okay, but she wasn't...
She meant you. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, she wasn't... She wasn't, like, the meanest of the mean girls, but she was definitely in that clique, and she didn't get along with Char. And she bullied him. Turn into this, like, sister figure where it's like, I don't want you... Like a stepsister almost, but you have the same parents. Those are my mom and dad. And then, like, this grudging respect thing that started happening. It was a lot of fun. And then her moments with Zem, like, there was just a lot of really sweet moments.
The sleepover was
yes,
awesome.
Yes, and to get to see Zem be just like a young woman again, you know, talking about crushes and, you know, joking about people you knew from your past. Like, oh my God, did you hear that so-and-so married?
Got married, yeah.
You know, like, those were fun moments. And so it's sad to see her go.
I don't think that I have fully connected with the fact that, like, she
gone.
died and Zima, like that. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be addressed.
Yes.
But, like, as of right now, there were too many bodies on the ground. I feel like I haven't.
And that's sort of what I wanted to get across at the end of 63 was, like, you're walking through and you're just seeing, like, there's this shell shock going on, right? You see it, but it's almost like it's not real. And we're going to have a moment in 64 where we address all of that. So, very sad. Very sad. Which villain death was the most satisfying?
Fucking Adhara.
It was pretty satisfying.
I mean, listen, Dalius, yeah. I mean, Ambrose, yeah. But, like, it was like, I think Adhara, because I didn't know what was, we still didn't know the full context of what was happening. She had been pursuing us so hard. And it was just like, fucking stop! And then, like, it did. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, I would probably have to say the same. Because, yeah, it's great that Dalius is dead, but it wasn't satisfying. It was just kind of like...
It was a desperate situation. It still felt like, oh my God, okay, thank God we didn't die. But ultimately, there was no, like, despite Zem asking over and over, why, and him giving his answers, it was never satisfactory. There was never, like, a good enough reason. And I, as a player, never accepted any of them. I was always just like, fuck off. There has to be a better reason. Like, there has to be more behind it. So, I don't think we officially know yet that there definitely was no bigger reason behind it other than his own shit. But it's like, that was it.
Yeah.
For me,
and I understand that there's going to be more later on, but still.
Or maybe
like,
there won't be.
Or maybe there won't be.
Well, so here's my thing, right? Is when Dalius confronted Zem in the hotel room in Annenfell, another fantastic moment. She was asking him, like, why are you doing these things? Why, you know, this isn't you. Why would you? I don't understand. The person I knew would not do these things. And he kind of hinted at, like, trying to understand Dunamancy, chronology. He's trying to change something that he did in his past, right? We got that little shred of information, but whatever it was so heavy, so real, so embarrassing, so something. He didn't tell them in that moment. And so I, as the DM, am left very much in this moment like, do I put that out in the world? Do you go to Dalius's office and find a journal where he describes, oh, this exact moment, this thing that happened, that this makes sense, this is what he wants to change? Or do you just never know? Because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes people are gone. And sometimes you do something so horrible that you wouldn't even want to write it down because you don't want people to know.
Taking things to the grave is legit.
Yeah. And like, there are just enough little morsels that we've left in here. We know that he had something going on with Kai. We know that at one point in time he left Stellium and he was gone for months or years looking for something, trying to understand something. And he's done horrible things because there was something that he was trying to hide or change. But, like, maybe we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just where we leave it. And it's just sort of unsatisfying, but that's sort of life.
However, we are raiding his office.
Well, absolutely raiding his
100%.
office.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll let you guys decide right now.
Yes, we are. We're diminishing.
No.
We're destroying
it. Do you want to know?
I would like a hint. I don't need to know the whole thing. I think that it would be fun to discover at some point, but I don't know if I want it all laid out right now.
Okay.
I do want to know at some point. So, like, write it down. Keep it in the back of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I want the same, like, cookie crumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can make your own assumptions to where it might have gone.
Yeah.
But I want that resolution to be with Kai involved because I feel like she was a bigger player than we thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so whether it's a more direct, like, I need to change what happened on this date, or I need to erase a memory of what, I don't know. I can't even think of what it could be, but, like, his goal, but not his reason, to help narrow down what that reason is, to maybe get, like, other, like, little snippets or whatever, maybe a name drop, like who the fuck is that? You know what I mean?
Like, digging through his past, like, just in the worst way.
Because I feel like this would be a really interesting thing for Zem, because as much as Zem right now is trying to downplay her feelings about the Dalius thing, like, this sucks. This probably sucks for her more than her mom dying.
Because she expected it. Everything that Dahlia has ever done, Zem expected.
Mm-hmm.
She never acted in a way other than Zem knew her to act.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Dalius, he fucking lured her in, let her feel safe and confident in someone he was not.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the time was right, sprung that, like, trap, I guess, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I've pointed out in the past, Dalius did care about Zamira in a way that he thinks that somebody cares about a daughter. We know that his reasoning, his thought processes, they're fucked up. Right? Nobody's saying that he had a healthy attachment to Zamira. But so for him to be doing these things and using Zamira in this way, even knowing full well that he does care about her, like, again, why? And I think that is something that when things are quiet, when Zem lays down at night and can, like, relax, those are the sort of questions that creep in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Zem does need some sort of resolution.
She's got enough revolution.
She's got enough revolution.
By the way, if you take that from me, I will be so pissed at both of you.
Wait, what?
My whole crowning glory of this entire fucking podcast is that orc army. So don't you dare. I'm not even kidding. I will be so butthurt.
I will ruin your lives.
Jenn
for
has left
months.
the podcast.
Why? Orcs.
Okay, I have a question now specifically just for Shar.
Okay.
Is Shar a fan of picnic dates? And also, what type of sandwiches does he like? And also, what flowers does he like? And also, does he like getting lost in each other's eyes? And also, does he like holding hands?
That's a lot. So in order,
picnic dates?
probably yes on picnic dates.
Mm-hmm. What kind of sandwich?
Good cucumber sandwich.
Oh, okay. Flowers.
There is a flower in the garden that was explicitly said. I think it was the moondrop flower or something along those
Something like
lines.
that, yes.
That one is his favorite.
Does he like getting lost in each other's eyes?
No, it confuses him.
And does he like holding hands?
I'm going to go with probably not.
Oh.
I think that yes, he does. He doesn't think he does.
Oh, okay.
Like, because he's a very repressed individual.
I feel like
He's romantic, but he's a closeted romantic. However that.
Mm-hmm. He's
if
too
that makes
awkward
sense.
to be openly romantic. Yeah.
I think that he does like holding hands, but he wouldn't initiate.
Oh yeah, it'd be one of those things where, like, you go to hold his hand, he kind of like tenses up, and then, like, you feel his hand relax a little bit. Oh yeah, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm. But I'm 50-50 on the picnic. I'm not sure how I feel about that. As Char, I mean.
I don't think that Char would initiate any of that.
Oh, God, no.
But if you led him there without telling him, he would go.
Oh, look, there's just this blanket with food. Please come sit.
Like I said, closeted romantic.
Uh-huh.
Those were also very specific.
All right. So, what jobs would Char and Zem have pursued after graduating if the events of Slay the Stars had not transpired?
Oh, straight up would have been Glassworks. Like, that would not have changed.
Yeah.
She probably would have stayed and continued her education, and then once she learned everything she could learn, she would stay with the school somehow, so whether she became a professor or went out into the wilds.
Maybe she could have done like an exchange program with the Elenistonome. Would have ended up there anyway, but in a totally different way.
Totally different, yeah. She probably would have been looked... You know how she's been treated like a fucking princess her whole life? Despite...
No.
Yeah. She probably would have been like the nerd. Like, she would have gone to Elenistonome and been like unpopular, people pick on her, like all that kind of stuff, because it's... In comparison, there is no comparison.
Yes.
Like, they are so much more advanced.
Yes.
Interesting.
Would have been interesting.
Not even close.
What does Rafe truly feel about Zem?
Do you want us to walk away?
No. I think in the beginning, Rafe thought Zem was interesting because she pursued him, right? She was this like sort of like an upstart, you know what I mean? Like sticking her nose where it didn't belong, sending him weird like flirty messages, and he sort of looked at it like, who does this girl think she is, right? But then like we played it off like she would be like, so what'd you have for breakfast, you know, like nonsense like that, and then one morning he would just like reply like, okay, fine, here, I'll tell you. And then they started having this connection that was like that, right? Her being like playfully flirty and him just sort of like, oh, I'm just going along with it. But then he found himself like actually liking those messages because he doesn't let a lot of people around him, and the people who are around him, they're all kind of scared of him, right? Either because of his position, or if they are unfortunate enough to know what he is, a vampire, then they are scared of him for being that, and he is scared of them because they know his secret, right? And so Zem was this person that he didn't want to get close to, but she sort of like forced her way in, brute force. And so that like playful connection sort of developed into more like, oh, I like her. And so he legitimately is in love with Zamira.
Aww.
Short story long.
Yeah, short story long.
I feel like after all of the events that have happened, she would probably admit the same. She is, regardless of whether or not she would admit it.
Yeah. They are so similar in some ways that I don't know how this will actually end up.
In tears.
In tears. But it's going to be a fun thing to watch play out. Okay.
It's like at WVU during the winter when they like set the dumpster on fire and just pushed it down High Street because it was on ice. It is just a dumpster literally on fire traveling down High Street.
Oh, this is an interesting question. What do Jenn and Arthur think the weaknesses of the current enemies are? Also, what do Zem and Char think?
This feels like a you question. I'm not answering the weaknesses because I want to exploit that.
I didn't ask this question. Prince asked this question.
What do we think the weaknesses of the enemies are? I think that Adria is blinded by power, so her own power is going to be like gaining more power. Is that, how am I trying to say this? her insistence on obtaining more blinds her to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Hubris.
Sure, but it's more like I can trust that anything she's going to do is going to be self-serving. She's going to attempt to get more power. So knowing that that's where she's always going to go, I can work with that. I can try to work with that. So I think that's one for her. Who else? I think Nyx and Nox, they're each other's weakness. So that's one. Who else? I don't even know.
I like that comparison though. Like Nox is doing basically all of these things because she wants her brother to be free, right?
Mm-hmm.
This person that she cares about above all else, she doesn't care what she has to do, what she has to destroy. All she wants is for this to happen. And it's an interesting juxtaposition with Zem and Shar, who say the same thing. Like, we're here, we'll save the world, but not at the expense of each other. We'll burn it all down.
Yeah.
If that has to be a decision. And so it's fun to watch play out because I think that the two of you can identify very much with them on some level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've said this several times, like we are each other's biggest weakness. And if they ever, like, that was Dalius's biggest problem, was that he always went after me rather than going after him. Because if he had ever gone after Shar, it would have been different. But he didn't, like an idiot.
Like
hubris. But yeah, I think so. Like humanoid issues is separation of the powers and no like structure. That's what's going to always keep them from gaining anything. And extraplanar, I think the actual weakest link is Primus. Personally, because I think he's in spite of keeping the balance, he's actually causing anarchy. But that's a big problem with like lore too. He's done that shit, so I feel like that might be too much of my nerd coming through.
For Genevieve, I feel like it's because we have not seen her since, and I have not had enough like interaction with her to really know her enough to know her weakness, but I do know that she's a problem. I think that it's like, yes, she wants power, but I think that it's more than that, which means I don't think that that's going to be her biggest weakness. I don't know. I mean, Zamira, Zamira and I, we are not going to approach any of them from like a physical combat strength, because that's my biggest weakness. Like I cannot approach any fight that way. I need to figure out, okay, how can I cripple you mentally in order to like weaken you so that this one can take over.
All right. We sort of addressed this in the core recap, but I'll let Arthur answer maybe the second part of this. Meeting Xander, knowing he had every chance to choose the right path, why doesn't Shar resent him? Or why doesn't it seem like Shar resents him?
He's in love with him. Like, come on, man. Like, he's not fully over the trauma yet, because the second that he was getting close to getting over the trauma, Reg fucking died. Like a brutal, horrible fucking death. And he's scared to get to know people. And despite the fact that, yeah, he's made the wrong choice, he's the only person that Char's been involved with that has not died.
Yeah.
So, like, take that with a salt lick. But yeah, the short story. Yeah, he's in love with him.
Taking notes. Zem to get Char laid.
No.
Can you tell us more about Ambrose? I know he was supposed to be a major villain, but was defeated in one episode, so we couldn't learn more about him.
Allegedly.
We haven't heard the last of Ambrose. I don't want to say from Ambrose.
Vampire.
He
The world is.
He said in episode he did say directly to Rafe in episode 63 that this feels familiar to Rafe. And so we know he's a vampire, we know Rafe's a vampire. We can connect these dots about what's going on with the two of them. And in one of the previous episodes, Zem and Rafe had a conversation where Zem said that she would help Rafe find out more about what he was. And Rafe wasn't quite sure if he wanted to know, but I think now he'd probably want to know more. And Ambrose would have been a way to learn more.
Kind of forgot I promised that.
Yeah. And
You're in love.
So yeah, it was not a moment that I had hoped for. That is not what I wanted for that character, but the dice will what they will. And I'm not gonna be sad about it.
There's more than 2 vampires, so
Probably.
I'm going to assume that neither one of them were the beginning
Or the end.
So if that's the case, there's always ways to find more information.
I'm sorry, I have a quote from the Wheel of
Torture.
Time stuck in my head so hard right now. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. Every time I talk about dice, that pops into my head. Yes, so hopefully we will get more information on this topic.
So far this entire day of recording, every time we bring up Xander, I just hear that song that it, like, at one point it goes, I smell bitch.
I think my favorite scene between you is actually when Zamira and Xander are in the same scene.
So what's funny about that is I feel very much like Zamira's relationship with Xander was, I loved him first, like, fuck off, man, like, you know what I mean, like, that sort of thing, like, even though it was platonic. And it was fine to be like, she was fine to have this sort of, like, not truly contentious, but I don't know, like, banter or whatever, where we're gonna pretend we hate each other, but
the sass is just...
Yes. But then he just kept choosing wrong. And that's why, like, every time she brought up, like, you have more choices. Like, you could still choose the right way. But he's run out of chances.
Now he has to die.
Maybe. The whole world might just...
It's true. At any moment. Zamira, having almost lost her boyfriend, how do you feel? How do you plan to prevent this in the future?
Prevent almost losing my boyfriend?
Uh-huh.
I'll die first.
I mean, so I guess I don't really know the rules around vampirism in our universe. So I don't know, like, which set we're going with. But assuming he's an immortal with semi-traditional rules, there isn't a whole lot I can do there. If another vampire is going to fight with him and he's not as strong as that other vampire, like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. But that being said, and as I mentioned earlier, there's always ways to research things, and I think that that's what she's... That has been my plan.
Torture.
Wow, we keep coming back to torture.
We nothing. It's all Arthur.
It's true.
You know I'm right.
I would like to do research on vampires, like, just lore, and there's gonna have to be some stuff. I'm assuming... Is this the first time we would have heard about vampires? Because I don't think...
So, in this world, there are, like, stories about vampires, like, haha Halloween stories, right?
So it's like a boogeyman type
Like
thing.
a boogeyman type
Like, holy
thing.
shit, they're real?
Yeah, so whenever you found out that Rafe was a vampire, this would have been like a holy shit, like, okay moment. Again, like I said, like, there are, like, with the tree and stuff.
Oh, you're
like,
serious.
there are, like, I want that to be a
Yeah.
theme in this world.
Okay, got it. So then, she would get as much information as she can, and then have to sort through what is real and what is not real.
I just had the best idea.
Okay.
Yes?
I'm sorry.
Do you need to write it down?
I need to write it down.
Would you like a sticky note?
No, it's okay. I'm going to type it right here.
So as she's sorting through that, she would try and, find ways like how to help him or whatever, or how to cure him if that's a thing that exists and he wants it. But ultimately, it is his afterlife, and whatever he wants to do with it is his.
And this is the hardest part for me is like, I will not metagame to the point of I will kill my own character. But lore, I know what happens when vampires die, and I know how to kill them and how to like potentially resurrect them.
Well, like, traditional, but there's not a lot about this that's traditional. So like we haven't really stated which way we're going with vampires in our world.
I specifically have not said that.
So I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know that I can prevent that unless I just don't have a boyfriend anymore. And
you have a husband.
Well, there's that, or just I meant more like having nothing, having no one. And she's lived that life for too long. I think she's done with that.
D&D wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really love how this book had an entire section on you opening a bar. Really? No! I'm really glad this entire module has a wedding setting. Really?
But can you imagine who wouldn't come to my wedding? I'm sorry. Everyone would want to come to my wedding.
It would be the event
of the century.
Okay, as of dramatization number 4, could you tell me more about what type of voices you ask the voice actors to emulate with their respected characters? How do you choose voice actors?
So, I have worked with Steve and Meredith actually, because Meredith was Dolly in what was it? AFK Arena for the anime. So I had worked doing Walla with both of them before. I knew Mitch from classes that we took with closing credits. Shameless plug. And then with Lyneth, Lyneth is one of the people that actually taught me how to use Reaper. So he, ironically, this podcast wouldn't exist without Lyneth.
That's fine.
So, but how I choose them is we get the script together first with Leah, and then she kind of tells me what she wants the voices to sound like, or like what kind of characterization. What is funny? My nails?
No, stop it. I like those. It's the I just keep coming back to the fact that like you guys do all this really technical, like looking into all this, and then you send us options, and I'm like, that's hot. Do that one.
Well, that's the thing. That's a very important thing for me to deal with because I'm terrible with making those kind of decisions.
So everyone who we've ever chosen, I think your voice is hot.
You're welcome.
And that's the thing you know about me now.
But yeah, so I know a bunch of like actors, like voice actors that I've either worked with or I've taken classes with, or just I've heard by proxy. So I kind of know what vocal like tone we're going for with certain things. Like as soon as Meredith was my first option, period, for Dahlia, because I've heard her do things like with her voice that she doesn't get paid to do very often. I'm like, oh, I want to be able to let her show off.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Lyneth was my first choice to play Ambrose. So Lyneth is awesome. He's also from Australia. Go check him out. If you haven't checked any of the voice actors out, I highly recommend all of them from the last 3 dramatizations.
Yes.
I knew Steve from AFK Arena. I know that Steve is very, very good with accents as well. I actually have an alt take with Steve in a transatlantic accent that I might let be released on Patreon.
We should 1000% release it on Patreon.
And Meredith also gave me a British accent take. So Dahlia could be British. But because Zem isn't British, I didn't feel like that was accurate. So as far as like, if you're asking me how I choose voice actors, we eventually will have to get to the point where I've run out of people that I know to do certain things. But we haven't had an open call yet. There might be a chance for that in the future for voice actors who I don't know and we would love to be able to work with. And Isaac is always going to attempt to be my favorite voice actor that gets plugged randomly into something.
Uh-huh.
And he just had the baby, so I know that we couldn't get him in on the last one, unfortunately. But I love having Isaac's voice in every dramatization. That's kind of my joke.
Yes, I enjoy that very much as well because we all love Isaac very much.
Yes.
He's amazing.
For anybody who's just listening to this for the first time randomly, Isaac is the person who did our theme music.
Go check it out.
We
Go
have an
check that
interview
out.
with him.
We do. So we have a Beyond the Stars interview, and you can also just look at on Spotify. If you go look for Slay the Stars theme, it comes up. You can listen to the whole thing.
And if you're trying to create a video game, he does video game music. You can pay him to do that. He is awesome.
He is amazing.
But yeah, as far as the actors, it's as of right now, it's the ones that I know that I can work with personally, and I trust to have either a good turnaround time or I won't have any problems with their recording because I've heard their setup before.
Yeah. I mean, that is a huge thing. Hiring voice actors, knowing that they have their own booths and their audio's clean and stuff makes your job so much easier because I can't imagine trying to mix 5 different voices with all different mics and sound qualities. And
yeah, like just as a heads up, like we could never use these mics for dramatization, really. We did one time, and the reason it worked was because we put a fuck ton of music behind it, which was the bar scene.
yeah.
Sorry, I hope I answered the question.
No, you did. That was good. And
I love nerding out about voice actors. I love them all.
we didn't know. We didn't know you liked that.
I know. I love them all very, very much. I would have everybody and everything all the time.
I know. And
Could you stop fucking grumbling? Jesus Christ.
He's talking to his stomach, not us. But yeah, I
He's not a dick.
I like doing the dramatizations as well. It is so much fun to have these professionals come in and voice these characters in the world and to give so much characterization behind these moments that we can't always play out on screen. And I mean, so frequently, the last 2 we've done have not involved Zem and Shar, and I think that has been greatly to our benefit because it lets us show what's happening. Like Zem and Shar aren't the center of the whole world. Like there is so much happening in other places, and getting to showcase that is a good time.
I would really like to showcase Rafe and the new setup that haven't recorded yet.
Yeah.
When other things transpire.
I agree.
Bleep that whole.
Well, and this is a good thing to start with because I think that we're going to have a lot more opportunities for dramatizations down the line because I sense some large shifts coming in Arc 2. So let's transition to talking about what, obviously no spoilers. We haven't recorded anything from Arc 2 yet, so we can't give spoilers.
We did it, guys.
But, I mean,
ourselves.
Let's talk about it a little bit. What do you 2 hope to get out of Arc 2? Where do you want to see it go in generalities?
Well, since I have an orc army.
Oh, you
allegedly.
Have it.
I'm
Don't look at me with that tone of
I'm
voice.
staring them both down. So I want to figure out a way to discuss this whole council business because we know the orc army wants them dead. Like they are not interested, so we need to figure out some middle ground there, like whether they disband and then we make them not kill them or something. I don't really know what the answer is yet, but I would like to resolve that because they did just come in and do what they did.
Which was awesome.
Yes. And then after that, I feel like I just inherited a crime syndicate.
You kind of did.
So, considering my boyfriend had a crime syndicate, and I don't know if that was destroyed or if that was just disbanded or put on pause or absorbed.
Pause.
I don't really know.
Put it on pause.
I know. I don't know why I can't talk today. Whatever happened, I want him to do that, but I would like it to be a real Robin Hood situation. Like, I don't care if you do crime, but, like,
Help the little guy.
help the little guy. Right. So.
Which I think he kind of did
He kind of did. Right. Like, he did what he did, but, like, he also, like, wealthy people needed to pay more than, like, the little guy. The little guy didn't pay as much.
Listen, it's the mafia. It's okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, anyway, I want to see that.
I'm talking about my guy all wrong.
Stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Look, he's good. And he helped the little guy out. And he takes the money from the big guy's pockets.
Christopher Walken
Yeah.
every time.
I can't do...
I don't think it's the mannerisms. That's what throws me off.
I can't do voices. I can't do accents. Literally every character I play is going to sound exactly like this. But it's okay because this voice is great, so.
I love accents. Actually, Leah knows this too. We used to play very, very late into the evening during COVID, like when we were playing like 3 days a week and 3 nights.
More than that, but yeah.
And I had a very thick Scottish accent. And we were played so late till like 3 or 4 in the morning. And my accent was just stuck because you have these things called home phrases, which gets you into an accent. But you don't have a home phrase for your own natural fucking accent. So I was just stuck in Scottish for like 6 hours at work, at a bank.
It was so fun though.
We got way off topic.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. This is just what we do.
What was the topic?
Arthur, where do you want to see Arc 2 go?
Oh, yes. I want to raid Dahlia's like headquarters before other shit hits the fan, just because that feels like that would be closure for Zem, as far as what Shar has thought. I also want to beat the shit out of your father.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at, but
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We will find out soon.
Because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the last time we saw your dad, Shar told Rafe to burn his boat with him on it. sink his boat with him on it.
Yeah.
So.
That was where the one line came from. Like, fools. What was it? Oh, shit.
Collective brain power. We are very intelligent individuals.
We have 3 brain cells fighting for 4th place.
Also,
Fools Hold Secrets.
Yeah, that one. I'm pretty sure that was about Zem's dad.
I'm pretty sure it was. Or it was about Dell. I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Because Dell is the full card. But anyway, regardless, we now know the secret that Zem's dad was hiding, which was about Zem's origin. Okay, let's hypothetically say that Zem finds out that like, oh, your dad died because his boat mysteriously caught on fire with him on it and it just sunk. Would Zem ask questions? Would she be upset? What would she do?
So, I mean, it depends on how she finds out, right?
Uh-huh.
If it's just, if someone was like
Oh, you're looking for that guy?
This is the remnants of that ship. Clearly it burned. Clearly, like, there could have not been any survivors because it came ashore, whatever. She probably would have been like, he was a drunk. He probably lit a candle on this boat. It went up and he died.
Uh-huh.
But if someone was like, yeah, that job we did before, she'd probably look sideways at Rafe like, this sounds exactly like the type of thing you would do. And it might be a little bit different. I don't think that she would I don't think she'd be happy about it. But also,
She wouldn't be sad.
yeah, like she kind of gave up on him the last time. So
I'm still mad about that shit. Like both Shar and Arthur.
Uh-huh.
Like, what do you mean you paid off your debt of like 10 gold coins to give up your daughter? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, that was another good moment. Oh my god, there's so many good
Listen,
moments.
I'm furious about that. Like, you can be mad at Xander. I'm furious at your father.
Oh, Kristoff.
Fuck that guy.
Where I want to see Arc 2 go is I want to change it up. I want to do something crazy. I want to do something that people are not expecting. And I want, so the first arc was about Zem and Shar finding their place in the world.
Call to action.
And yes, the call to action, them coming into their own, them understanding their origins a little more and their power and becoming powerful enough to do something, both in like magical or physical power level and also in influence. They now have both of those things. They're level 9, and they have met most of the big players in the world and have positioned themselves in such a way that they have sway. They can make things happen. They can give their opinions on things, and it's respected. So this has always been a 3-act structure. Slay the Stars was always going to be this way. This second one is going to be their action phase, right? This is them deciding what they're going to do and moving forward with it. And I hope going somewhere we've never gone before.
Hated that.
I'm fine with it.
You know.
I'm interested in that section of the map that looks like a complete crater.
Listen to Milo and Mila.
This would have come out by then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. Find it on our Spotify. SlayTheStars.com.
All right. Is there anything else that you guys want to say before we put Arc 1 to bed?
Wish my stomach would stop fucking growling.
No. I'm ready for the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. And we hope you are as well, kind listeners. That is where we will cut off, and we will see you in January for episode 64 and the beginning of Arc 2. Bye.
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 Intro music by Isaac Vyers. Character designs by Cam Gonzalez. Produced by Leah Hemrick. Graphics designer Jenn Kearney. And audio engineer Arthur Polino.